actually this is the truth. It's so obvious. So the truth calls out to you, and that's why. And it calls out to your reason, it calls out to your mind, your aql, it calls out to your rational mind. Atheism does not make sense at all. Atheism does not make sense. It requires some very unprovable, easily refuted assumptions in order for you to try to justify that belief. It requires a lot of arrogance. It requires a lot of other ingredients that are not part of actual reason and rational. Atheism just doesn't make sense. Everything in the universe cannot come from nothing. Nothing comes from nothing. It's impossible for something to come from nothing. So then there must have been something. There must have been some originator. Basic science, it keeps pointing towards it. Whether you're talking about time, if there's time and it's progressing, then time must have had a beginning. What was before time? What is outside of time? If the universe is expanding and it's accelerating, how is it accelerating? You can't accelerate anything without some force. And if it's accelerating, then it must have started somewhere. And if things cannot move or accelerate without a force, well, then where was the force? Where did that come from? What is that cause? So they don't have any answers for it. The answer is, well, it can't be God because I don't want there to be a God. So I've already made the assumption that there is no God. That's not my argument, it's my assumption. So if you have this blind belief that there cannot be a God, then you're trying to explain the impossible without God, then you're going to run around in circles and you're just going to say, I don't know. So they don't have a reasonable explanation for anything that goes on. Even what they argue, even what they try to argue about Darwinian evolution, I don't know why they think this is a good theory. But something like that, it's impossible. The idea of random mutations engineering life and engineering such incredible feats of organ systems and immune systems, and this type of engineering is impossible to happen by accident. It doesn't happen by random. We don't accept that anywhere else. Science does not accept incredible coincidences. When you have incredible coincidence, the scientific conclusion is it's not a coincidence. There must be some cause. There must be some link. That's the whole point of science. But they forget all of that when it comes to God, because they just want to assume that it's not there. So it's not a reasonable thing. It's not a rational argument for atheism at all. Whereas the Islamic explanation, it does match with the reason, with the fitrah, it matches with common sense, it fits together, it is coherent and consistent, and it doesn't contradict itself. So that is why Islam does make complete rational sense.